All right, let's kick things off with a really basic problem. I mean, one that's been around for centuries.
How do you send a secret message when you know someone could be listening in? Think about it. It could be a general on a battlefield, or, just you, sending your credit card info online. The problem is exactly the same. And the solution? Well, that's where the science of secret communication comes in. Cryptography.
Okay, so to really get how this all works, we gotta get the lingo down first. Let's talk about the vocabulary of secrecy. It's actually pretty simple. It just boils down to three core concepts. First up, you've got your original message, the thing you actually want to send. In the crypto world, we call this cleartext, or sometimes plain text. It's just the secret you're trying to protect, written out so anyone could read it. Now, once you take that message and you scramble it all up using some crypto magic, an algorithm, it turns into what we call ciphertext. And to anyone else, an outsider, it should look like total, complete nonsense, a jumbled mess. So what's the magic ingredient that makes this happen, that flips it from readable to unreadable? That's the key. Honestly, the easiest way to think about it is like a secret password. It's what locks and unlocks your message. Okay, so that naturally leads to the next big question, right? How does a key actually do that? How does it transform a perfectly normal message into a jumbled mess? Let's check out a really simple example to see it in action. All right, one of the most basic ways to do this is at the bit level, the ones and zeros. So look at this. We're combining the clear text bits with the key bits, one column at a time. The rule is super simple. If the two bits are different, the result is a 1. If they're the same, the result is a 0. And you just do that bit by bit all the way across. And just like that, the original message is totally scrambled into this new ciphertext. But here's the catch. This whole thing only works if the person on the other end, the receiver, has the exact same key. They need it to reverse the process and unscramble the message. And that brings us to a really central idea, the shared secret. And that right there, that's the absolute core of what we call symmetric encryption. Why symmetric? Because the process is a perfect mirror. You use the exact same key to lock the message and to unlock it. And it's probably good to know this is one of the two major types of encryption out there. We're focusing on symmetric, which, again, uses that one single shared key. The other type is called asymmetric encryption, and that one's different. It uses a pair of keys, a public one for locking and a private one for unlocking. But for what we're talking about today, symmetric, just stick with that image of a physical safe. Only the people who have a copy of that one key can open it. Okay, but let's be real. That example we just saw was pretty simple, right? So what's the deal with modern encryption? The stuff that protects our bank accounts and everything else? What makes that so incredibly difficult to break? Well, for the answer to that, we actually have to travel back in time a bit to 1949. A guy named Claude Shannon, basically the father of information theory, wrote this landmark paper. And in it, he laid out two principles that are, to this day, the absolute foundation of modern crypto. And the thing is, for a cipher to be truly strong, it has to have both. And what are these two magic principles? They're called diffusion and confusion. Let me put it simply. Diffusion is all about spreading the original message out, making its influence felt everywhere. And confusion? That's about hiding the secret key's influence. When you put them together, well, they create an absolute statistical nightmare for any attacker. Okay, let's tackle diffusion first. The whole point of diffusion is to make a tiny change have a massive impact. I'm talking you change one single bit in your original message, and a really good cipher will cause this crazy avalanche effect, flipping about half the bits in the final encrypted message. And why is that so important? Because it totally obliterates any statistical patterns. Like how E is the most common letter in English. An attacker could use that stuff, but diffusion makes it impossible. Then you have confusion. And as the name suggests, it's all about making things confusing. Specifically, it's about hiding the key. The goal here is to make the link between the key you used and the ciphertext that comes out as complicated and tangled as possible. So every single bit of that final ciphertext should depend on lots of different parts of the key. That way an attacker can't just look at it and go, aha, I see a pattern here. This bit of the ciphertext must be related to that bit of the key. Confusion stops that dead in its tracks. So when you look at modern algorithms, something like AES, the Advanced Encryption Standard, you'll see how they get so strong. They take these two ideas, confusion and diffusion, and they just apply them over and over and over again. They run the data through what they call multiple rounds of this process, tangling it up more and more each time until it's so thoroughly mixed that it's just practically impossible to undo without having that original key.
So there you have it. That's a quick tour of the fundamentals behind symmetric encryption. Hey, if you found this breakdown useful, it would be awesome if you could take a second to like this, share it with a friend, and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive.
And I want to leave you with one final question to chew on. If the algorithms themselves are this strong, this secure, then where are the real weak points? Where should we actually be looking for the vulnerabilities in our systems? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.